we have to assist some of the jurors to get in through the regular Thursday line, so they're all up now, anything before they're brought in. Okay, all right, let them stay. Who's the next witness?
Sergeant Feeney.
Sergeant Benning.
Got two in the restroom.
All right, good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. Let the record reflect all of the jurors are here and present. You'll step up, raise your right hand and be sworn.
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Good morning, Sergeant Feeney. Can you please state and spell your name for the court reporter?
Certainly, it's Colin, C-O-L-I-N, Feeney, F-E-E-N-E-Y.
And where are you employed?
I'm currently on an injury on duty pension. Had a few shoulder surgeries. I should be returning to work soon, though.
Okay, and where does that work?
The Metro Nashville Police Department.
How long have you been with Metro Nashville Police Department?
15 years.
And what was your assignment prior to going on leave?
I was a overnight supervisor for the Hermitage Sea Detail Patrol Shift.
Okay, and can you you walk the jury through a little bit of your background with Metro Nashville Police Department?
Certainly, I spent 10 years as an officer before I got promoted. Some of that time was spent on a flex team in South Nashville on midnights, and then I went to a burglary unit for about 5 years where we investigated residential burglaries, and then I got promoted to sergeant, and as a sergeant I was on the C detail shift of Hermitage.
And were you on duty on February 27th of 23?
I was.
Okay, in what capacity were you working on that day?
I was the senior sergeant working, so I was the acting lieutenant for the evening.
Okay, were you on C detail?
I was.
And what are the hours for C detail?
9 to 7:30.
7:30 a.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
And on the 27th, can you walk the jury through what you did when your shift initially began?
Certainly. When I came in, I had a message from the previous shift that we had request to speak with the supervisor from the homicide division. I made the phone call to the number provided. It was, I believe at the time, Sergeant Chris Dickerson. He has since been promoted a few times. He advised me that they had an individual in the hospital and they need to execute a search warrant at her residence off of Lebanon Road near Spence Lane, and was asking for assistance from patrol. So we had marked patrol cars and uniformed officers present. I immediately sent 2 patrol officers to the scene, and I advised them to wait until supervisors arrived before they conducted any further police activities.
And on the 27th, did you respond to 1522 Lebanon Pike,
I did.
apartment 107?
I did.
And is that here in Davidson County?
It is.
Okay. And would it have been customary for the domestic violence team to have already held that scene?
Yes.
Okay. And for whatever reason, that was not done, but once it was determined a homicide, were you called out and did you follow protocol?
We did.
Okay, can you walk the jury through what protocol you followed once you got to that apartment?
Sent 2 uniformed officers to immediately secure the outside of the location, the residence in this instance. Then we waited for the homicide detectives to arrive with a signed search warrant from a judge. We require a search warrant at that point because there's no one there to give us permission to access the property, so we have to get a search warrant from a judge to legally and lawfully search it. Once we had the search warrant in hand and we had the investigators from the homicide division and our technical investigative services, or now CSI, on scene, we knocked on the door. We had after receiving no answer, we had a key to the residence. We made entry, cleared the residence, and allowed them to continue their investigation.
Okay, and we're on the 27th, were you wearing body cam?
I was. Okay.
Have you reviewed your body cam?
I have.
And if we muted it?
For the jury. Have we muted it for the jury?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, I would like to mark
Sergeant Finney's body cam as the state's exhibit number 15 and publish it for the jury, please.
Okay.
Sergeant Finney, does this look like your body cam?
It does.
Okay. As we play it, I want you to walk the jury through what you were doing, why you were doing it, who was there, things like that.
Certainly. So the gentleman who's speaking right now is Lieutenant Gibson over the homicide division. I had also spoken with him a little bit about the situation of what was going on that evening and how we were conducting a search warrant for an ongoing investigation. He'd advised us that there was an individual that was at the hospital that that had a case that was being investigated as a homicide. We did not know the method of the homicide. All we knew is that it was a homicide investigation. The other sergeant present is Josh Hargrave, who worked with me on Hermitage Midnights, and then the 2 uniformed officers present are Eric Ziegler and Philip Parker. Both of them are relatively new. I gave them instructions that once we went in that they were just simply there to help us clear the residence, make sure that there's no one inside that could be a threat to any investigators. So our primary goal at this point is this would not be considered a very hostile environment to our knowledge, but we still take the precautions necessary. So we're just going to go in and make sure that there's no one inside the building at this point. Lieutenant Gibson has a key to the residence. At this point, he is announcing inside the residence, to making our presence known that we are the Metro Nashville Police. We're here to conduct a search warrant. That way, if there is anyone inside the house, I'm documenting the time with my watch, audibly speak it into the body camera as well. At this time, we've made entry to it, and we're giving anyone that could be inside the residence, after multiple announcements, that we are the police and we're there with a search warrant, to make themselves known before we enter, just in case there is someone in there. We don't run into a situation that could turn into a use of force situation or be a surprise to anyone. We want everyone to know who we are and what we are doing.
Sergeant Feeney, up there at the top, is that the date and time stamp for when you were executing the search warrant?
It is.
So it's February 27th, around 2 a.m., is that fair to say?
That's correct. So we're giving an ample amount of time to anyone inside the residence because of the time of night that it is. If there were someone, say they're in bed, giving them an opportunity to get dressed and let them know that we're coming in, and if they want to come speak with us, they can. As you see, there's no sense of urgency at this point, so we don't need to rush in there like we're going after an actual individual, because we don't believe anyone to be in the residence. Once an ample amount of time is given, we'll go into the residence. We're looking around just for any sort of weapons that could be present. We'll document that. We'll audibly tell the other officers that are going in there. So if we see knives in the kitchen, is obviously a place that there would be weapons. We're looking through, making sure there's no one inside any of the rooms. At one point, as we're walking through here, I do observe a handgun. Again, we were not told the method of the homicide. We just knew that it was a homicide investigation. So whether or not it's evidentiary, it's good to announce that, but it's also to let the other officers inside know that there is a weapon present in a certain location. So we're just doing a very precursory search of the residence to make sure that there's not an individual in there. Our role in this is to do just that, and to have uniformed officers present, so it's obvious that the police are inside. So we're going to take the precautions that we can to make sure that everyone remains safe. Once we've completed our search, that's when the homicide detectives, who are in plain clothes, and our CSI unit comes in and does their investigation. So once we've completed the search, I instructed the two officers present to stay on the outside of the perimeter and just limit who has access to and from the apartment. Make sure that it's someone that has business being in there with law enforcement or law enforcement adjacent with our crime scene detectives, because not all of them are sworn personnel. So you can see we searched the residence. We didn't find anyone inside. So we're turning the scene over to Lieutenant Gibson and the homicide unit at this point.
Sergeant Feeney, you did not collect any evidence, is that correct?
I did not.
Okay, can you walk the jury through how you would collect evidence when you're executing a search warrant, what precautions you take, things like that?
So anything that we're going to touch, we're going to want to have gloves on, first of all, to rule out any DNA that could be left by the officers that are responding. In this situation, we're not collecting any evidence because there's no one inside. It's a secure scene, and we can hand that over to our CSI unit to do all the evidence collection. But depending on what kind of evidence it depends on how it's packaged, and we'll leave that to those guys. They process it in the lab as well. Okay, and do you photograph anything and document it if you were to collect evidence? We would. Okay, if you'll give me 1 minute.
Are those more questions?
Or any questions?
Yes, thank you. Sergeant Feeney, did I understand you say you did see a gun in the apartment?
Yes.
And where was that?
I believe it was in the bedroom,
Do you know where in the bedroom?
maybe next to the nightstand. I don't recall.
So on the body camera with audio on it, can you hear you announcing that there's a gun?
Yes.
Is that something that other officers note also?
I would imagine they took a mental note of it, but I can't tell you what exactly they did.
So you're the only officer on the audio of that body cam that says something about the gun?
Yes, because I was the only officer that went into the room when I was clearing it that saw it.
Okay, so you're the only officer that goes into the room and notes the gun.
At that point in the search warrant, yes.
And that's actually on the audio of the body cam?
Correct.
Which we can't hear on this one.
Correct.
Were you present for the rest of the search of the apartment?
I was not inside, no.
Where were you positioned for the rest of the search?
Out in the parking lot.
What was your role during the rest of the search?
I still had to supervise a patrol shift, so the rest of the search, I was outside. I had nothing to do with the interior of the residence.
Did you leave before it was completed?
I did.
So you were essentially assigned to the entry team, and then once that was done, your duties were completed.
Yes, I left the 2 uniformed patrol officers on the scene, so if the plainclothes officers and the investigators needed any assistance from a marked uniformed patrol, that they would be present. But I also instructed them that if they had to do anything else, to notify me.
So you were available if they needed help,
Yes,
but your recollection is there was no help needed for the rest of the search.
correct. We had 94 square miles of coverage that we're responsible for, so I can't sit on one scene all night.
And this seems like an obvious question, but of course your body cam doesn't show the rest of the search.
Correct.
Are you aware if there is any body cam that shows the rest of the search?
I am not.
Are you aware if there is policy related to body cam footage during the search of an apartment?
At that time, there was none.
There was no policy, or there is no body cam?
At that time, there was no policy that required you to keep a body camera on while you're conducting a search for residents. Typically, your crime scene investigators do all of that with a digital camera.
Okay. That might record the actual
Yes, but
search.
as to whether or not that exists, that's not in my scope of the investigation. That's not my role.
Are you aware if there's currently a policy related to body cams during searches?
I'm not up to date on our current policy. I've been on IOD for 2 years,
Oh, wow.
so
You're probably ready to get back, huh?
should be starting back soon. So,
Well, congratulations.
thank you.
Were you provided any information and related to sort of what the nature of this entry was or this search was related to before starting the search?
I was given information by the homicide unit that this was something that should have been done the previous day by the Domestic Violence Division, and they failed to do so. So now they were having to come in later than they would have liked to conduct the search warrant, which is why I instructed my 2 officers who are relatively new to not touch anything and not get overly involved, because this would be going to trial in a few years, and it was less than ideal circumstances for them.
What part of it was less than ideal?
Well, when you're a new officer and you don't know what you don't know, so you don't know what you need to be looking for, you don't know what you need to announce, you don't know what you need to pay attention for, because whether or not you can recall something, 3, 4, 5 years later, is when you're brand new, those are things that you don't understand what to look for and what to do. So that's why I made sure that myself and another sergeant came out and were present at the execution of the search warrant.
You're a very experienced officer.
Mm-hmm.
Why was it that it was your understanding that this search should have been done the day before?
I can't speak to why the Domestic Violence Division failed to follow policy and protocol, but I just know that they did, but I can't speak for the actions of another person.
You had indicated, I think on direct, that something about that scene not being secured. Did you have some understanding related to that?
It was locked when we got there. We were there to secure the scene with our 2 officers present. That as far as the outside of the perimeter being secured, it's an apartment complex. as soon as we were made aware of it, we sent 2 officers there to make sure that no one entered or exited the residence. So, but from the time that we sent 2 officers there to whenever the incident originally occurred, I can't speak.
Did you have information about whether anybody else had actually been to the apartment?
No, not at that time.
You didn't actually have that information?
No, not at that time.
Did you have any information about whether anything had been removed from the apartment?
Not at all. Like I said, we were given very limited information, and I would prefer to have kept it that way. So I could tell that there was an issue somewhere, and I would let them work that out amongst themselves.
Generally, the information was that this should have been done the day before, but it wasn't.
Correct.
Thank you.